With this, we had a lot to do earlier. I'm calling this meeting back to order. And we would start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Superintendent LaCroix, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item is approval of the agenda, and I have a couple of changes under E action items. C is removed for this evening, pending a review. And under new business, G, hiring a nonpartisan investigator regarding personnel issues and allegations. And under discussion items, we're also adding a note about board members' input is requested for artificial intelligence policy forum that the WDE is doing. So I'm hoping some of us will put into that because we're going to have some policies about that sooner rather than later. All right, that's the change for the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair. Going down to action items, number 11.
Bus route?
Yeah, the bus route under D.
Okay, mine says EC. Under consent agenda.
Mine says D.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, Madam Chair.
okay, right, D.
I guess
Sorry,
it's
that's what I
different.
meant is D. That's being pulled.
Okay,
Or
I just wanted to make sure that we
investigation later.
got
My
that taken
fault.
care of.
Yes, D is
Thank
being
you.
pulled. C is still there paying the bills because we want to do them. I promise. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the agenda? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Agenda is approved. Recognitions. I'm going first. CeeLo. Thank you very much for always getting us a meal when we're here at 4:30 until feels like dawn. So thank you for getting us dinners, arranging that for us all the time. Any other recognitions? Vice.
I just want to thank Kylie Shoemaker for our 8th graders who register for classes. She teaches a unit introducing them to the classes that they can take into high school and exposes them to that. And then she does a lot of work getting them registered and selecting classes for next year. And so I always appreciate that each year.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other recognitions? Randy.
This last week, we celebrated our paraprofessionals, and so I'd just like to say thank you to them. We have 17 of them, so I'm not going to name them all tonight between our sped and our regular, but we couldn't do what we do without them, so we appreciate them.
And there were some pretty good pictures of some people getting a pie in the face that I thought was pretty cool too. So
Yes, and I should recognize the teachers that stepped in and helped me, so I didn't have to take 6 pies to the face. So I kind of put them on the spot, but they did know ahead of time, so I appreciated it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
thank you. Tyler.
Thank you. Would recognize Mrs. Marty for another math counts competition. We had Liam Novak in 7th grade, placed 6th in the state competition in Gillette last week. So once again, just a bunch of kids going to compete in math and recognize those guys. I forwarded you an email that was sent out nationally through the Growing Leaders Program, the Habitude stuff, but Leslie Morris in our building was a Habitudes champion, and they shared that with anybody that does Habitudes, which is part of our advisory program, so I'd recognize her. And then a tough one, but I think it's a recognition, and I'll try to explain. But we had a pretty significant situation happen Friday afternoon last week at 3:25. But something concerning came through, and Marin Gonzalez in our tech department saw that a student had searched some things that was a concern. They always keep us in the loop, but when it's Friday at 3:25, she was calling frantically to make sure she got a hold of us. And then, of course, Nikki Bloom stepped in, and because of those two ladies, everybody's good, everybody's safe, and nobody knows anything about it. And so that stuff happens all the time across the district, and I did think it was worth recognizing. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other recognitions? We will move on to visitors' comments. We're gonna have, Carrie has a short report for us. There you are. Would you come to the microphone, please? And
You want me to come up there? You guys are really asking a lot of me. Okay, I just need to give you guys a heads up. We had I think they called it a summit about middle school girls wrestling in Casper a couple weeks ago. I was not able to attend, but the guy from Wright spoke for the Northeast District. And it looks like the state of Wyoming will be switching girls' middle school wrestling to after Christmas break. So it will be the same time as boys basketball. That allows the girls two things. They don't have to choose between basketball and wrestling. And we're hoping that maybe more girls will try wrestling, and maybe it'll catch on a little bit. Brings up a lot of other things, some coaching issues. We happen to be one of 3, I think, schools in the state that have a female certified coach for wrestling. So we're pretty lucky in that aspect. Don't know what that looks like. And some scheduling stuff. We didn't even schedule our wrestling because we didn't know what it would look like, but I just wanted you to know that that change is coming down the pipe.
great. Anyone have questions for Carrie? No, thank you, Carrie, for the update. Seems to be a pretty popular sport. All right, so now we have visitors from WHCC and the Sheriff's Office. Who's gonna talk first? Gar, is it you? I saw you there hiding. You might tell everybody your name. I know you, but
My name's Sergeant Gary Ridenauer for WHCC. And I'm joined with Lieutenant Billy Gordon, and Sergeant Trevor Chandler. And then also Garrett and Lawson Wiggett from the Sheriff's Department. We are submitting a proposal that we would like to open the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning, as those hours do not conflict with our shift hours. So currently, our shift begins at 5:45. So we've been going to the lodge from 4 to 5. That's what we have. It's good to say that our group is outgrowing the lodge and the equipment that they have in it. We're filling up space in there, and we're running out of equipment to continue bettering ourselves. So we would like to request from the board that we can open it at 4 a.m. and we'll set up volunteers for who could open it and submit to any background checks, policies and procedures, rules and regulations you guys have.
awesome. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, no, Jason has a question.
Yes, sir.
During that time, obviously, you guys would be opposed for the citizens to come in at that time. It's not just for you guys.
Right, absolutely not. We would allow anybody from the community come in at that time and join us. It's an early hour. There are people that like to get a jump on their day, and we would absolutely be all right with that.
I just want to make that clear.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Anyone else have any questions? No, the letter was very well presented. Do you, you'll be answering to Teresa, but you know her.
Oh, okay, all right.
And then it will be the rec board that will vote on that.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we're done here, but I don't see any issues with that.
Okay.
As long as we can keep some numbers.
Are there
up.
any other questions or anything I need to
I don't think.
get you guys before we end this
I think
conversation?
I think we were pretty good.
All right,
That wasn't as hard as you thought, was it?
it was hard. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody else from that group, did you want to add anything?
I think you covered it. We just want to open it so that our people can have the allotted time to use a weight facility that is, I don't want to say it's better.
More
the schools is
extensive,
just
yeah.
better. It's well maintained. It's has working equipment and a larger space for the groups that we have.
Okay. So, our rec board chairman is here and oh, sorry, that's right. Joe, it's Joe, because he's here. Yes, it'll be on, that vote will be as soon as we end this and go into that, so. All right, well, thanks for being here. Oh,
You guys can stick around for that, or Joe can give you a call and let you know what that vote was. Or Teresa can notify you of what that, I mean, if you want to stick around that long.
all right.
Thank you.
Are there any other visitors' comments? Yes. Would you grab us microphone, please?
Thank you. I was going to talk about 2A. Would you like me to wait for that or present now?
Yes, I'm sorry. I have that on my other one. It's just a visitor's comment, so yes, I'm sorry, my fault.
Oh, no,
Please.
it's okay.
Now it's fine.
Now, okay. Here's your microphone.
I knew there was something else.
Okay. Madam Chair, may I hand out some? Okay. Look at your readers. There is some small print on there. Sorry. Okay. All right. I'm super nervous, so I'm used to talking in front of kids, so adults scare me. I'm Maggie Unterseer. I'm the high school librarian, and I'm here to present the high school staff's thoughts on adding golf as a sport. I just want to make sure for the people in the room, people watching, that this is not easy for me, this is not easy for us, and that this is just a neutral and objective climate check from the high school staff about adding golf, because we felt that it was important to add our voices to the discussion. So, and I'm also one of those talkers, so if anybody has a question at any time, feel free to ask a question. So Newcastle High School is comprised of 37 staff members between classified and certified. And I sent out a survey on the feelings of adding golf as a sport. I had 22 responders. 18 of them were no's and 4 were maybes. The next slide was what I included in the survey. And so the information on here, and like I said, you'll need readers, was everything that I have observed from the past board meetings online Number one talks about the medical insurance for staff, looking at a 16% increase, and regardless of who takes that hit, the mitigation is still going to be tough for either the school district or for employees. From what I've heard, the incoming class of kindergartners is expected to be lower than expected. And with our outgoing class of graduating seniors, there is a discrepancy. And I am not a math person, but with about $16,000 ahead and just the estimates from what I've heard, that would be a loss of $192,000 to our budget. The Wyoming Department of Education failed to relay important information that I heard about from the last board meeting, which is looking around $200,000 that has already been paid back. A good news was that the legislature approved a 3% ECA for the school, which is kind of a cost of living adjustment for us. However, the issue is that it gets eaten up by the other stuff that might need to be taken care of. Bryce talked about this at the last meeting. The Kinevento are students who are in transition or without homes. And with our windfall from the COVID era ARPA funds, we're looking to lose out on that extra money. And so our obligation as a school district is to support these students in whatever educational venture they choose, whether that's extracurricular activities. And so that is the district's obligation to pay for those students. And also, one of the other facts that I have noticed is that the group that has brought the proposal hasn't brought any facts, figures, MOUs. And this, just like I said, very fact-based. There hasn't been anything other than it'll be covered. And so with that being an issue, the next slide are the results of the survey. For those online, I have included a QR code to scan that will take you to the same spreadsheet. And Bo, it's really tiny, so I don't know if you want to, but those are all of the name redacted responses. Towards the end of your packets, I don't know, pause for effect, pause for reading. And then the last piece of that, because I know that's a lot to digest, I've included some policies that I have found as I combed through district policies. 3 of them kind of go and show that our priority for fiscal planning is puts non-instructional at the bottom. One of them, though, the co-curricular and extracurricular programs, because I don't want this to be doom and gloom that we, as a staff, hate golf. Like I said, that's not what this is about, but that it does highlight in the co-curricular policy that it should be for students that are interested and have varied interests and ability levels. So I wanted to throw that in there just so that you guys could see that there are policies that would support this position and supporting, in our opinion, our staff first, but also that students have a priority as well. Okay. So the DA, DBC, and KCD, I feel, and this is just my lens, that would support the high school staff's feelings that right now is not the time for golf. But IGD, the co-curricular and extracurricular programs, I just wanted to put that out there that it is a reminder that the board has a policy to support students and having their various interests met. And I included those because I know sometimes they can be hard to find, so. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Okay.
I don't ever think that, it's just like the. Any other visitors coming? Moving on to action items, the consent agenda. Move to approve. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Sorry, my microphone wasn't on. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Old business. Proposal for golf, high school golf on second reading.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposal to add golf as a high school sport for 24-25 on second reading. Is there any discussion? Tina?
I voted for this last time so that we would be able to get a proposal because I didn't think it was fair that you guys didn't have an opportunity to do that. This is the first time I'm seeing this packet, so I don't know about that necessarily, but I do worry about the timing of it, just in terms of the numbers of kids that we have in our high school and how many sports that we are spread across. And so I think for that reason, and then also financially, I understand that it wouldn't be this year or next year, but that at some point that is something that we would have to take on. Those are my biggest concerns about adding golf at this time. So I guess those are just my concerns.
Thank you, Tina. John?
I see there's a recommendation. Is this your recommendation, Brad?
So, Mr. Chair, my recommendation from the get-go was, i.e. that it was problematic based on several items. Number one is your enrollment. It is the number of programs. But then if you remember correctly, since this is a deja vu for me, I did say that if we were to add it, then we should be consistent with what we've done with other programs that weren't consistent with my recommendation.
You sound like a politician.
Did that answer everything you? Do you want another shot or you're done? Okay. And this is the second reading. There would have to be a third reading as well. Any other questions? Brad?
Unless it would be declined, but just two things I do think that would need to be clarified is in the past, we had like a minimum number, and I believe for consistency in individual sports, boys and girls swimming, boys and girls wrestling, we've always said that the number would be 5. I think that would be fairly important to be consistent. And oh, yes, in the proposal, it probably should state when it would be deemed if successful, i.e. number of students stayed with it for X number of years, whatever that should be in that proposal. So if it's a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, I believe the last one that we had was a 5-year prior success.
And they did have in there, if we adopted it after the probationary period, there would be a 3-student minimum. That is in their proposal under logistics. That's out if we went ahead and adopted it after probation. Now, prior to that, we may want to clarify that. Jason, you had? No, John?
Doesn't it take 5 to make a team?
Yeah.
Takes 5 to make a team, right?
Which you can compete individually.
So we want to give, if there's some kids that are really good golfers and have the opportunity to maybe take home an individual state title, we want to still give them the opportunity to have that as well. So that's why we put the number at 3.
Jason, did you have a question or not?
Did we ever find what we did for golf or for soccer?
Middle school soccer or?
Did we ever get that and provide that to them or anything?
I don't think I don't think anyone knows where that went.
Okay.
Once it was adopted as a sport, I'm sure that was.
Mr. Chair,
Brad.
we did receive it, but it was after we already had to have the proposal.
Oh, you did find it.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Okay, good. So if, I guess my suggestion is if this passes second reading and then you're gonna want to edit this a little bit to resubmit so that it does show the what was the number you wanted? 5.
I just thought 5 would be more consistent with where we've been with other programs, but I get the understanding. I mean, I get the individual play as well.
So what I'm saying is that you'll want a minimum during probation too. And I didn't see that on here. I think it only said after. Does it say? Oh, okay, I missed that. I'm sorry. Jason,
So what would be so if in the end, however this rolls out,
school and past,
what is the cost to the school if the school had to take over golf? Does the school have that answer? Because looking through some of these comments, it says the school can't afford it. So what is our cost if we took, like Tina said, if at some point we absorb the sport, what does that cost to us, to the district? I guess I'm asking, I'd like to see that figure.
Carrie,
So, Alicia and I would have to sit down.
microphone.
Alicia and I would have to sit down and write out the exact amounts, but for a head coach, it's approximately $6,000. For a head coach, it's approximately $6,000. If you needed an assistant coach, I think at the high school level, they're making like 4,000. You know, depending on how many girls they got, if we wanted to move ahead with girls. We've reached out to some of the other schools that have golf. It seems like there hasn't been major fees before, but it also seems like golf courses are now starting to charge a little bit more for the use of their courses. So that would be a cost. And then there'd be at least 2 overnight stays, depending on how many kids you have, you know. So we could do a better job, but that's.
So if you would provide us with and we understand it's not set in stone estimate, that would be helpful.
Just the coaching will be around. 6 for the head coach, and the assistant coach is actually closer to 55,000.
Or, yeah. of course. Brad,
What is the number where you guys are required to provide an assistant coach? Like how many students, how many applicants you have to have? So we don't. The biggest thing that we worry about is supervision, where males and females are traveling together. And many times the district has added like a coach's aid, i.e. a male-female combination to make sure that students' safety and needs are being met. But there really isn't a hard, fast number that I could give you.
A female chaperone would cover that without paying an assistant coach, is that correct?
With the right background check and all that. Yep. Okay.
Madam Chair,
John,
I realize it's an individual sport, but so is swimming, and we require 5, I believe, for swimming. Even though they can win medals for swimming as an individual. And so I guess I would expect 5. I really would, no different than any of the other activities that we've added to our roster. I wouldn't, I guess I don't know. I'm not a golfer, but I would expect 5 students for the trial period anyway, and 5 when we get done, because like I say, swimming as an individual, I don't know if wrestling, if you can go as an individual wrestler, or if you have to be on a team.
No, you can't.
But I know that they win individual.
Give
Yeah.
up a lot of points.
Yeah, well, you're probably not gonna win no team matches, but you know, so there are individual sports out there that and we require 5 for those. So I would do the same thing with golf if I approve this.
Billy,
Oh, I can't speak on swimming, John, but don't quote me if I'm wrong, but there's 11 to 13 weight classes in wrestling. Is that correct? Does anyone know off the top of their head? 12. So I mean, 5 is about half of that. I mean, that's what I'm looking at. Swimming, I don't know how many. Is there a number you can score? If you take 20, you can only score how many, or how many can you score?
Oh, sorry.
I mean, I'd like to see.
Green.
Green, it depends on how big the meet is for scoring. So if it's a duel, I think it's 12.
Okay, so roughly we're half of those numbers, what you can score, and you can score 5 at golf, right? You can only score 5. So, I mean, I'd just like to see numbers, because if we're 12 wrestling and we require 5, and then we're same with swimming, 12.
5.
You can score 12. Right,
Oh,
but
you can.
you can only, yeah, we require 5. To me, golf, you can only score 5. I think 3 is more, 3 is more than half. I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from, but I mean, I'm good with 3. I mean, that's more than half of your team.
Yeah, percentage wise.
Yep.
Yep. Any other questions or discussion? Yes.
Okay. One of the things that the teachers had brought up that I thought was interesting and might be a question for Alicia and Carrie. On line 20, it says that some of the proposed students who would join the golf team are seniors and juniors. It is too late for the team to be approved for spring. Therefore, the seniors would not be included as legitimate temporaries. The juniors would not have competed in the spring season, so it's my understanding that they can compete in the fall, but their scores would be invalid since the state competition is held in the fall. So the students wouldn't technically be part of the team's stats and should not be a part of the head count for the team members. And so I thought it was interesting that we're talking about points and all that, like, is this an issue?
What now?
From personal experience, when I joined the golf team, it was in the fall and I was able to qualify for state and I competed in state as well. So I never competed in the spring prior to when I did, and I was able to join in the fall, pick up and then qualify for state as well. So if we don't get this, well, we know we've already discussed this, that this ain't going to be a spring deal, be a fall deal. We still be able to qualify and be able to compete in state. At least I did from my experience. So it should not be an issue.
Okay. Anyone else? Comments, suggestions? Questions, I mean. All right. All those, we're voting on proposal for high school golf on second reading. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Weston County School District #1 revised ARP ESSER safe return plan.
Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board the approval of the return plan as highlighted in your packet.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revised ARP ESSER return plan. Are there any discussion or questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next up is reappointment to the School Risk Retention Program Board.
So, Madam Chair, not this sort of is going to come across a little contradictory, but it's not. What I'm asking for the board to approve is the reappointment to the SERPS board for a term ending in 2027 for Angie Holiday to continue that process.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to ask for reappointment for Angie Holiday to the SRRP Board for a term ending June 30th of 2027. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. We've got you for 3 more years. Moving on to new business, administrators' contracts. We're going to go through these one by one and let me double check. We are moving Angie's to the directors. Okay, Brad.
So, Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board the contract extension for Brandy Holmes.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the following, or approve the additional school year contract for Brandy Holmes. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Congratulations, Brandy.
Madam Chair, I would also recommend under the same terms for the contract renewal of Bryce Hoffman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the administrator's contract for Bryce Hoffman. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Congratulations, Bryce. Tyler Bartlett.
I would make the same recommendation for Tyler Bartlett, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and seconded to approve an administrator contract for Tyler Bartlett for an additional year. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
I would make the same recommendation for Sonia Tisdale for an additional year on her contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Sonia Tisdale's contract for an additional year. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And Madam Chair, I would make the same recommendation for Taryn Olson.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve an administrator contract for an additional school year for Taryn Olson. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Sean?
I'm gonna abstain for this vote, conflict of interest.
Okay.
Good thought.
Sean will not be voting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next up is the proposal to add a third option for WELP health insurance for the high deductible health plan.
And Madam Chair, I would make that recommendation to add that as a third option for the employees.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a third option for high deductible health plan insurance for employees. Is there any discussion? Everybody saw the worksheet and the notice, so we know. I can say, I think there are quite a few groups who are taking advantage of that as an option for employees, so. And I believe high in their definition is 3,500. Yeah, my deductible was $10,000 a year, 15 years ago, so. All right. I got lost. Did I have a motion? I have a motion.
Approval for the proposal to complete and submit the consult.
Wait. No. I didn't, I forgot to have people vote, Brad. So all those in favor of approving the high deductible health plan, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
No.
Motion carried. Consolidated grant application.
Okay, sorry, Madam Chair. I was so excited to get to the consolidated grant. I would make a recommendation to the board to approve the proposal to complete and submit the consolidated grant application.
Have it. It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposal to complete and submit the consolidated grant application. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Certified resignation.
Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board the resignation of Elena Liggett as an elementary teacher at the end of the school year and permission to post the position.
Madam Chair,
Paul?
I'll make that motion with the addendum that we accept it with regret for her 20 years of service to this district. She will be missed.
Second.
I'll second, and also I'd like to say the same thing. Thank you for everything you've done.
It's been moved and seconded to regretfully approve the certified resignation of Elena Liggett and thank her for her years of excellent service. No discussion other than what we had. All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Classified resignation.
Madam Chair, I would recommend the resignation of Brian Scott as the maintenance person effective May 28th and permission to post that position.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the classified resignation from Brian Scott as maintenance as of May 28th, 2024, and to post the position. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Early graduation request.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would recommend I guess the petition for the early graduation pending that the student that has made the request is in compliance with the credit requirement for graduation.
It's been moved and seconded to approve an early graduation request as long as all required credits are in place by May of 2025. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item G is a recommendation to hire a nonpartisan investigator regarding personnel issues.
And I would recommend that to the board, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and seconded to hire a nonpartisan investigator regarding personnel issues. at the earliest possible time. Um, I'm saying that for you, Nick. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Now we're down to administrators' reports. Angie.
I don't.
They made their way around, didn't they?
Thank you, Madam Chair, but I don't have anything. If there's any questions. I'm
Thank you,
sorry. I know,
Angie.
Val, that worked.
Bo, do you have anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just really quick, I was really hoping to have the RFPs ready for the computer refresh. After doing some work with Dell and whatnot, supply chain has really kind of changed that up. I will have it plus another one for you guys at the next meeting. There'll be one for the computer refresh, and there'll also be one to replace the existing boards, new line boards. So kind of sets us up with all new stuff, at least for the next couple of years. Unless there's any questions too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would tell you, we got white top season coming up. The summative test window opens up next week. I didn't think I was being funny yet. I'm getting there. And so, of course, I got to tell you, I've had a couple of really nice conversations from a gal, my friends down at WDE. And so I'll just kind of recap the last year or so with you guys and then tell you where we're headed. But if you forgot, last year on the white top test, the middle school, actually, the Wyoming Department of Education deemed us as exceeding expectations, which is the highest recognition a school can get on that stupid test. And so we celebrated and everybody was really happy. And then we did a little peer accreditation visit this fall, if you recall, and people from across the state and reps from WD came here and told us they were coming to steal our ideas, and told us what an outstanding job our building principals and the admin and teachers and everybody did, and they were so impressed and hip hip hooray. Then somewhere after that is when they made the $185,000 accounting error. And then now they're going to come visit and watch us take that stupid test here in a couple of weeks. So they just really wanted to know what rooms they needed to visit and at what times, because they wanted to just randomly choose to come and watch us take the test. And I thought that was ironic. And that's what I thought was funny. But that's all I have to report at this time, unless you have any questions.
Timing is everything.
Madam Chair.
Sorry. Paul.
Have you thought about charging admission?
It's an idea. I will consider it.
At least coffees for you.
We'll provide them with some treats and show them around.
All right. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Tyler.
White top season, of course. Next week, high school will be testing ELA and science. 10th graders take the science test, if you guys didn't know that. So that'll be the only grade that tests in that area, content area, that this year. I don't know if we'll have a visitor or not. I got a cryptic message asking what we were testing on the 24th. And I guess I shouldn't call it cryptic, but just an email asking what we were testing on the 24th. And so I let them know we'll be testing math. So that's 2 weeks from now. So we'll see if anybody shows up in our building or not. They're more than welcome. And then more important than all of that, on your desk in front of you, Madam Chair, are the diplomas. If you could sign those, as well as the clerk and treasurer, and then give it to Mr. LaCroix as soon as possible. I think we should all be making it, and so we don't have to tear any up or anything like that. But if you guys could sign those and not spill coffee on them, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you for that clarification. Darren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mine's short as well. I just wanted to give you an update that our evaluation team is working around the clock. We have 21 evaluations going on right now. That's typical for the fall, not so typical for the spring. And so we've had a lot of kids move in from out of state, so we have to do that eval process again. And I think our teachers are just becoming more and more aware of student needs and bringing them to the table. And so I appreciate that as well. Speaking of the consolidated grant application, we set the date for the community meeting for May 6th. So I'll send you all the flyer, but if you want to put it on your calendar, that's what we decided upon. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Okay, May 6th, do you know what time, May 6th?
4 o'clock
4 o'clock here?
here.
Okay, thank you. Randy.
Thank you. Well, are also starting to enjoy Y-top season. On Monday, we're doing our kickoff. It's going to be fun. We have a famous celebrity, if you remember from, I think we decided it was 2015. We had a famous little rapper from our building come and do a performance. And so they'll be doing that again on Monday. So if you want to come join us, it'll be in the morning. Right after we have muffins in the morning. So you're also welcome to join us for that for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. I've also been receiving those fun emails, and so we're also preparing for a possible visit. A recognition I should have made, and these guys are probably in the same boat, but to Candace Watt, along with all those emails and preparing for this visit, we had to send in a plan and schedules and disperse stuff to our staff of rules and all that good stuff. And so kudos to her for a lot of extra work behind the scenes for that. So. And then once we start testing, it takes us several weeks to get through all the classes. So we'll be testing for the whole season. Yay. We also just finished up intramural basketball for the boys. We had 28 students participate in that. On the 19th, we're doing our school carnival. We haven't done that for a couple years, so you're welcome to join us in the evening if you'd like to. And then our concerts are also coming up on the 22nd and 23rd. And then also just to keep you in the loop, I met with the rep from Dakota Playground this last week. We have the new playground equipment that we got from the ESSER grant. And so we're hoping to get that all installed this summer. So just looking at where it needs to go and what kind of fall protection and all that. So cross your fingers that all works out. That's all I have. We're
Great.
starting a new end of the year.
Thank you. Yeah.
So Madam Chair, just real quick, on top of the testing season, which I've never heard it quite spun that way, we also will have it's like a handicap audit. And it primarily focuses around facilities that are with Perkins funds. And so that's going to hit sometime soon. So we will go through that. And I do not have it in writing, but I am anticipating for the next board meeting, the bid for the 2 water systems, i.e. the practice field, the football field, and then the reconditioning of the football field around the $400,000 mark. And I think the reason I want to let everybody know that is money that are earmarked for facilities. So it cannot be used for people. So that would be part of our major maintenance. And that's always very frustrating when people see projects and may not see the increased wages that they would like. So those are the only 2 items that I have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Board members. Meetings, reports. You have it. Jason.
Just one quick, unfortunately, we had to close down our Glendo school. So no contracts were renewed, and we're gonna try to recoup some of our equipment that we purchased for that district and all of that, so.
Was that a population?
So
issue or
the
what?
previous superintendent gave us a pretty sweet deal on some of the space that we were using, and the new superintendent would like that space back after we spent lots of money upgrading. So again, that's some of that stuff obviously we can't recoup, but all of the electronics and all of that, we're gonna recoup, and like I said, unfortunately, that school will be closed, so.
anyone have any questions for Jason? All right. I don't have any board reports either. So future agenda items. A is we will advertise for an early start on April 24th for an executive session to discuss future planning. And I'm adding a B where we will consider a tenure request. Under discussion items, the state superintendent of public instruction would like to meet with us, and I know you guys all wanted to be able to attend that. So I promised them I would get them a date and time that would fit most of us. Our next meeting dates, obviously, we're meeting the 24th early. There's also May 8th and May 29th.
It was interesting when he was removed. There's quite a few people that will remember my comments at the time because it came after Ogden. Reportedly, I guess you should say, because it was reported and then they claimed that he claimed that didn't happen, but we all saw the letters where he made the chairmans of the board sign that we're going to do this and that and the other thing, and we're not going to disobey. And
we're not going to disobey. I love that. I love that part. We're not going to disobey.
pretty much that's what I got
Yeah.
from it. Reading it is, aye, Captain, we will follow your rule. It kind of made me look a little different at Driscoll. And then this year's made
Well, and
it
you
even.
didn't just look different. Come on. You gave him a nickname even.
I gave him a nickname. He was saved in my phone still to this day as Dictator Driscoll. And I still don't feel bad about that because Weston County hasn't seen him once leading up to this session.
There's also May 8th and May 29th. But if there is a day in there where y'all would like to meet here and either meet her on Zoom or maybe she'll come up. Silo.
The first one in May is May 6th.
Oh.
It was moved to May 6th because people-
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I looked at the wrong thing, didn't I? May 6th, sorry.
Is it a regular or on the 6th?
The 6th is regular. So we could start and if we think we want to visit with her for an hour, we could start at 6. Or I have not invited our legislators because I wanted to, she reached out 13 days ago wanting to visit with us. So I didn't want to invite them to a date or time until I knew what worked best for all of you. So would you like to start early on the 6th?
Would.
Do that. Give them an hour. It's, yeah, 6 at 6. And then if that doesn't work for them, would you like to pick another date? Maybe that week or something? That you might be able to come? Yes. Well, most of their suggestions were in the middle of the day. So,
was one at 4 o'clock, I thought.
yeah. So it was on your email. Jace.
Madam Chair, I guess I'd like to see whatever we do at a time convenient for the public to be here as well. And obviously do a lot, live stream. So again, where during the middle of the day, obviously, most of those people would not be available.
So how would you feel about offering them the possibly May 1st as well? Yeah, it is the Wednesday. And it would just be for that then.
Just a special meeting for that.
That work. We could still say it's at 6. Okay. we will offer those and see what they can do, but on the 24th, we're starting at 5 already, yeah. Oh, yes, 5. I'm assuming 5. We said early start, yes. Okay. I will reach out to Mr. Shaner in the morning and hopefully we'll get to see them soon. You all should have had an email from WSBA. The WGE is really requesting, especially board members, to attend an AI policy forum that is April 18th. Oh, I can't read my writing, so I'm gonna have to look on my calendar. Yep, April 18th, Thursday. It's at noon. I've recently seen a Professor Friend's sharing of some AI term papers that are just at this point very easy to spot and awful. They won't be for very long. They'll be almost impossible to catch. So I think it's going to be a policy that we're really need to be ahead of, and I hope that some people can attend that and talk about artificial intelligence. All right. That is all I have. Billy.
Angie, have you got any more updates on that credit card?
We're waiting back to the credit card and about ATM. And a couple of the times every day. So what I found out so far is if we accept credit cards, the fee that they charge is going to be charged to the district. Now we have to put it into our product that we're selling to recoup the costs of that, the 3 point whatever plus whatever. I had a meeting with Leanna Scribner today. We just talked about it because she, wants to know if we could do that for the concession. So I told her I'd try to work on getting some more information, but we've been playing hit or miss with phone calls, and the ATM was she didn't think it was going to be able to happen because of the cost of it to the bank, but it was still in the works. Possibly something could be worked out for an ATM machine, which would help, I think. But yes, I am looking into it. And we are talking about.
It does seem like it would be a pretty high traffic area for about 9 months of the year.
Yeah. I think as long as we put on there, like have a little sign saying we charge 3.5% for your card at the concessions or wherever.
We can't do that.
Oh, we can't?
I've talked to 2 different ones and they said you cannot charge your customer. You have to put it in the cost of the product you're selling. You can't. That is what I've been told. And one of them is the e-funds that we use to collect our lunch money. And I have to apologize, Joe. We don't accept credit cards for that. We only do ACHs, which is right out of your checking account, because of the fees. The district would have to pay the fee for credit cards for lunch fund, and the same thing for the credit card.
So I guess I don't understand that because you go to gas stations and they have signs saying.
That's what I said to both of them.
Restaurants do too.
And
yeah.
they said that.
It's, yeah,
Tax
exempt probably
and
can't.
They just said we can't do that, so.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's like one company was 3.62% plus like 10 cents. So and Leanna is in charge of the concessions, or she has the extra duty for concessions. So we were talking, so we're working on it. I know might be some other, Alicia had some information on what some other schools are doing and was going to try to set up a Zoom to see what we could see. So it's still in the works.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussions? I'm gonna adjourn this meeting while the getting's good. Rec board.
You only got like 2 minutes.
I can't believe it's only 9 o'clock. Well, I saw an article in the Washington Post that said credit card companies were going to start telling restaurants that they wouldn't allow them to use their credit card if they charged extra. Well, it's just gonna go in the price.
50 cents.
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
I'm not.
I think if you put, I think if, even if you just said debit cards only, I bet you'd get quite a bit of use. You see, because we gave Taylor a debit, oh, well, that's true. He did, there was no charge for a debit card as long as we kept like $500 in his account.
Yeah.
Is there really? Ugh.
But I mean.
It sucks because it's just sucking money away for nothing.
No offense, but kids don't carry cash.
Oh, yeah. See, and mine still has to have, he has to have at least $100 bill.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's gotta have another $100 bill tucked away somewhere.
I got about 300.
He was the one who always goes, Mom, this is $15. I don't wanna break my 100.
So give me money, JP. That's how I was.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not.
What's Nick, is Nick worried about the waiver? I'm sorry, did I overreact when I said, why don't we have that? Yeah, right.
So you.
Here we go.
I'll call the rec board meeting to order. You have a. Thank you. You have an agenda in front of you. Do I have a motion to approve agenda?
Move to approve.
Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, agenda's been approved. Are there any recognitions? See none, we'll move on to visitors' comments and special programs. With the sheriff's office and them, we'll talk about that on G, so that it was a visitors' comments, but we'll discuss it later. We'll move on to action items. You have a consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the
Move
consent?
to approve.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Sorry, moving on. Got lost in myself. See no old business. See no new business, so we'll move on to discussion items, the weight room hours. Does anybody have, so one of the questions that was brought up was insurance for them other hours and how we're gonna go about this. I'm not really sure how to address that. Yep. The refinery didn't get passed.
So, yeah, so
Yeah, so the refinery proposed 3 different things. I sent you guys, it was from 2019. And we did I tracked people coming in from 7 to 8 in the morning. And then, or no, we were open 5 in the morning till 8 in the morning. And then we were open 3:45 to 7. And we extended that hour 7 to 8 and we tracked it. Well, we found out nobody was coming in 7 to 8 in the morning. But we did have traffic 7 to 8, so we nixed that and added on the end, so it was no loss or gain to the school district. We had an employee, we just extended the hour for our employee to work.
Is that what we're gonna be doing here too? Or are they
We
just
would
gonna-
add, if we added an hour, that's gonna add quite a bit to the budget, because when I sent that proposal from 2019, the wages were $10 an hour, and they're $12.70 an hour now, times 50 weeks.
Would it do us a favor to have them write up a proposal and have them present it so we could, I'm sorry, with everything today, I'm kind of getting lost in this right now. How we should go about this.
Well, their proposal was to have a volunteer for an hour. They would volunteer, the person wouldn't be an employee,
Okay,
which the refinery kind of did that as well. Yeah, and the refinery proposed that too.
Except if there's an issue.
Well, they would still have to go through our background check and such. The problem with volunteers is sometimes they're not consistent. And so we'd have to open it up to the public too. And so with a volunteer, if they don't show up, the school district's gonna get the call of them not showing up. And I don't know why I equate it to December, everybody eats, January, everybody comes to the weight room and it's packed and then it dwindles off. That's my concern from a volunteer standpoint.
It did say they have a backup
Yep,
if one didn't or couldn't.
so.
I guess that could be part of our re-proposal to them is, again, what is your backup to your backup? Because like she said, if none of you show up, the school's gonna get the call because this is gonna be open to the public. So what is our reassurance that somebody will be there? Or, and this is probably far-fetched, but, or how are you gonna reimburse the school for that salary
Loss of
that,
time.
for, yeah. Or that additional time and cost.
Yeah.
I am
My phone won't be on at 4.
can I get you to ask them those questions?
Yeah, I had a question and I just didn't get a chance to talk to them, but their shift starts at 5:45. Do you know what time it ends?
I think they're 12 hours.
So
6 to 6.
I know working 12 hours would stink to work out after that. But we are open when they're off their shift till 8 o'clock at night. So is it a convenience thing? I don't know. Cause that was what it was for the refinery. It was the same thing. It was shift work. They couldn't use it. To me, it was the same thing. And my fear is the repercussion of the refinery. You approve these guys, but you didn't approve us. And the refinery has actually been paying for a membership year after year. They have not. And when I approached them 3 years ago, they said, we don't have any interest. So they have interest now, but will they 3 years down the road? I guess that's my concern too.
Did the refinery ask for, have volunteers as a proposal?
Yes, they did.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I guess I feel like that's one of the better proposals that's been presented to us. I mean, I'm willing to let them try this, even if we want to put a caveat on it that it's like you make absolutely certain that you have a backup if someone's not coming.
Well, and I think cause I think we did 90 days on that
Yeah.
extended hour. We could do a 90-day probation.
I think that's a great idea. Joe.
Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Brad, can we put a stipulation where, you have two missed, no shows and we terminate your ability to, is there any legal obligation to that or?
I would hate to be the one to tell the ones that are going to give me a speeding ticket on how they should conduct their behavior. Or those that are suitable to house me when my wife is mad. But I think we could, that's a legal question. So I think if you write up a contract and that contract specifies those things, and they sign it, then I think you're fine. I just worry about the problematic piece of also, going into summer. We are going to be estimated middle school, high school, down 5, possibly 5 custodians. And that is one of those areas that really does need to be cleaned and cleaned well. And so the addition of that is possibly could affect, however, we're going to try to staff the needs of getting schools ready for next fall. I really worry about adding stuff that I think is going to be problematic for others. I think we should talk to our custodial staff. I think we should talk to our insurance provider. But you guys can do whatever you want to do. They sign it, they sign it. Being the victor of the group's going to be, I think I'm going to send Angie.
Well, I think we can just, like we did with the refinery, is offer them a 90-day, hey, let's make sure you got people coming in that you say is coming in, that we're actually getting the use of that time, just like we offered the refinery.
I don't believe we gave them a contract. I think we just
No.
told them, we didn't make them sign.
No, all we
just
did,
Told them what
we did,
gonna
because we
offer.
didn't have any volunteer or anything. We
Yeah.
took the hit on that extra hour
Yep.
for, I don't even remember how long I tracked it. It was at least 2 months. So we extended the hour and I tracked the sign-in sheets.
Yep.
And then we just nixed the hour in the morning and added it in the afternoon.
Yep.
So there was no contract or anything. The only thing we did is add that hour to see if it was busier.
Sorry, Sean, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, what do we charge for the weight room per person?
So a monthly individual is $15. A family is $25. And I think a year is $250 for a family and $150 for an individual.
A year.
Yeah.
And so when a business buys a membership, is it just?
So the refinery, it's actually gets away with pretty cheap. It's $750 a year for their employees and spouses. But you're probably talking 15 refinery guys maybe that use it. And same with the hospital. The hospital actually pays more because it's based on employee number. So
Okay.
That's what they do now.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this? We'll move this to new business to be voted on for next time if everybody's in agreement with that.
Okay, so I'm curious about what extra you're gonna tell them you want that they didn't present us.
Well, I think we need to,
Or we're asking Brad to tell us about insurance, is that it? Okay.
curious about insurance, yeah.
And I guess maybe we would spell it out, is 2 enough for volunteers?
Yeah.
Maybe they need a bank of 4 people and then they manage that. Like right now I manage the employees. But they would have to manage their people, or do I schedule it? I don't know. See, that's where it gets really, because being volunteers, it's a little trickier, I think.
So do we want to write something up like what we did for the refinery and give it to them and say you have a probationary period and all that stuff?
Yeah, I would just say that we're gonna give this a try for 90 days and track some numbers and see if you have consistent volunteers show up and.
Can we vote on that tonight though, or?
And do we, I mean, what's the magic number? Because I did ask them tonight, I asked him how many people. And he said, well, 6 consistently come, but there's more. So.
How would you charge them?
I would-
Individually?
I would, because they don't have a contract.
So that would
And
be a little bit of money.
yeah,
Jason?
So I guess with the insurance, what's our concern with the insurance? The volunteer portion of that.
versus.
Well, not,
employee.
you got the volunteer portion of it, but your volunteers are in there, probably the ones lifting too, right?
Yeah. Because that was the
So-
concern. So the refinery actually wanted a swipe card 24/7 access. That was one of the proposals in their proposal. And the concern was, what if this guy's working out by himself and gets hurt?
So that was the insurance question. Sorry.
Is that any different than an employee? Would that be different? Because like, I can see where we would have employees in there by themselves at any given time as
Mhm.
well. And I mean, I'm not in there in the morning because I don't do that, but at night, I mean, you can see where at times they're gonna be in there by themselves and they're lifting as well.
Yeah, so I know 3 that are in there by themselves that are lifters, but they're usually lifting before people leave, like that last hour when it's quiet, they're typically not lifting. My other 3 employees aren't lifters. They're like Nancy, Jacob and Caitlin are all cardio, more machine weight where you can't, the free weights is what's concerning more than the cable weights. But yeah, they are in there.
So sorry if I'm needing help on this.
So I guess is your question, are you asking
we
if we
wanna
want
vote on
to
this
vote on
tonight?
it pending?
Vote on the probationary period for tonight?
I almost think we need more information
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
So
So-
table it pending information on insurance.
And we'll just have to have Teresa explain to them
That it-
that the reason it's tabled is from our aspect, we need to hear from our insurance.
Yeah.
Because you will produce 2, 4, whatever that number is, and I think we should give them a number
Mhm.
of volunteers.
Please tell him, I'm sorry, we didn't think of that.
Well,
earlier
they
this
still,
evening.
if we voted on, I think they knew it wasn't gonna get voted on, cause he just got it to me. But, it's gonna take probably 4 to 6 weeks for a background check. It's been taking quite a bit, so. It's all gonna be, I know, but they still have to go through the school district. It doesn't matter. Yep.
John?
All right, thanks, sir. All right, June did some real quick mathematics on this deal. Is there any way, we're gonna have to charge them some more, and this is where you said 12.75?
1270 is the hour wage.
Okay, I went
Yep,
12.75, so I come out yearly, it'd be about $3,500 extra per year for that employee. So what we're charging people right now comes out to be about $162 per person a year. So you take that times 6, we come up with $975 roughly. So the 6 guys don't cover our wages for that one person.
Well, they were volunteering. We weren't hiring anyone.
Be paying.
The only way we would pay is if somebody didn't show up. We would have to put somebody there because we are saying it is open at this time.
Yeah, I understand that, but eventually at 5 o'clock, we're gonna have a person come in that we're paying.
Well, we're already doing that. That's part of our budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just mathematics, just makes,
We're open from 5 in the morning till 7 in the morning, and we have an employee that we pay.
so here's the deal. I mean, okay, yeah. I know it's just ain't making no money, period, so.
Yeah.
The weight room nor the pool make us any money, I don't think.
And I mean, that is a really good point. So we knew going in that there really wasn't a true, like a anytime fitness business model. We knew that we discussed with the community that if they would allow us to pass a bond issue and build a pool, that there would be certain amount of hours that would be community usage. And the older the pool got, no different than the old pool, they just get more expensive. There's no way to really keep pace with that kind of stuff. And I think the same thing is true of the weight room. We've had some really decent gifts over the years that, you know, were provided to the district. In return that, I think the last one was a gift of like $100,000. And in return, anybody that was 55 or older got to use it for free. And that's really how those business models were built. They're not a for-profit. We've had people in the community have tried the for-profit workout kinds of schedules. Their demise was us. We're cheaper. And let's face it, they're right. I mean, that is pretty decent equipment for a high school weight room. I mean, as you can tell, I don't use one very much.
Anybody else? Okay, all right, we'll move that on for new business next time. So, all right, meeting, unless there's anything else anybody else wants to say. Meeting adjourned.